Serious NSFW. What's something that a friend classmate did in high school that was seen as funny at the time, but you now realize was actually not okay? My mom ran a home daycare when I was young, and our neighbor had a kid around my age that was diabetic. One day my mom was making lunch and the 6 or so kids she was in charge of, including me, were playing in the backyard. The neighbor wanted to come over and play. We saw his mom checking his glucose and asked her what she was doing, and she explained it. A couple of kids had a "EU" or "I hate needles" reaction, and so to show all these kids that it's no big deal, this adult woman proceeded to stick all of us with his glucose needle on our fingers. My mom came out midway through this and completely flipped her shit. To my bewilderment, I didn't understand what the big deal was. It barely hurt. My mom almost lost her daycare. All the kids had to go get blood work at the doctor. Many parents were contemplating finding new childcare. Luckily for my mom, she had become close friends with a lot of the parents, or she probably would have been screwed. My mom refused to even speak to the neighbor after she was done berating her that day. Boys in my high school would constantly kick each other in the balls. I'm a woman, so I won't really understand the extent of the pain, but it's just so bizarre. It wouldn't be normal to punch each other in the face all of the time? Can people stop commenting on how painful it is and giving me explanations? I get it.
Hey guys, much like you, I love reading people's stories on Ask Reddit. Unfortunately, there's a lot of weird middle school level, just thought experiment type hypotheticals like "nice try, Baskin Robbins." I don't find this compelling, so that's why I've made it my mission to trawl and crawl through Ask Reddit and find the very best content and put it in your ears. That's why I'm begging you, like and subscribe. If there's anything I can do to help you out, give you the kind of content that you crave to help you get through your workday, let me know in a comment. But please, like and subscribe.
I remember having what was called the man or mouse test. Basically, guys would take one of those big pink erasers and start going to work on their arms, and the one who lasted the longest was the real man. Plenty of bloody and scabbed up arms around school. I am not ashamed to say that I was a mouse because I never participated. There were plenty of other instances that ranged from questionable to outright dangerous. Bottle rockets being shot down the hallway, filling milk jugs with acetylene and lighting them up with a torch, damaging the brand new school bus with a shot put, etc. High school was basically a shit show. I remember in middle school someone pantsed this girl that very few people liked. She was walking up to turn in a worksheet and wore sweatpants, and one of the kids who bullied her regularly just pulled them down as she passed him. She went commando that day for reasons unknown. They then made fun of her for having hairy genitals. A few classmates and I rushed to help her because it happened like 8 feet from us, but the damage was done. All we could do was help her to the office at that point. Yikes, that's fucked up. I knew plenty of guys, and even some girls, that would say fucked up edgy shit like that as a kid. I was guilty too. I don't think it usually translated into behavior like that as everyone matured, but looking back it's still fucked up how clueless we were as kids. My Spanish teacher was the kindest man. He was my favorite teacher by far. Kids just treated him like utter garbage, and I never understood why. A few years after I graduated, someone pushed him too far and he threw a desk at a student and was forced to retire. Wherever you are senior Laub, one student loved you. I remember a similar incident at my high school. One semester our art teacher was out on some kind of sabbatical, and the sub for that term was a very attractive guy in his early 20s, kinda looked like Keanu Reeves. One girl came up to him after class one day asking what he was doing over the summer, and he immediately shot her down and explained to her why what she was asking was inappropriate. Honestly, the guy was a class act, and the stuff I made in his class was some of the best work I did in all of my time doing high school art classes. Class clown masturbated in the middle of class. Hand down his sweatpants going at it while the teacher's back was turned. Everyone knew what was going on because he wanted to be noticed. People giggling and shying away from the spectacle. He finished in a piece of paper and threw it in the teacher's trash can at her desk. Teacher never knew. A little backstory and to clear some things up. The guy was well known for doing crazy stuff. Think Jackass. This was in 9th or 10th grade back in 01 or 02. Most of the class thought it was funny and the rest didn't care too much. Different times. He was seated dead center of the classroom, so literally the center of attention. Everything happened in his sweatpants, so there was no nudity. He stared at the girl next to him the entire time because he had asked her out and she turned him down. She thought it was funny and a tad creepy, but otherwise okay with it. Lastly, I don't keep up with the guy, but he had a brother, and last I heard, which was several years ago, one of them died in a car accident. I think it was our guy. There are too many kids in this world masturbating in school. Senior year of high school, we had a guy who trashed all of the boys' bathrooms. Thousands of dollars in damage. Everyone knew who it was, but they couldn't pin it on him. Instead, they just locked every boy's bathroom except the one next to the office. Most people couldn't use the bathroom more than once a day because of that dick. This actually happened to my art teacher in high school. She was probably in her 60s and had some noticeable hair above her lip. For her birthday, someone bought a pack of those cheap razors and wrapped it up. She looked like she was going to cry as half the class laughed.
This year, like I said, I'm having a midlife crisis. I've started a YouTube channel and I'm on a big health kick. One thing that I found is very easy to eat, very easy to prepare, is I heat up chickpeas with chicken broth and tikka masala. And there are two schools of thought about how you should eat beans. Some people believe you should buy the dry beans and soak them, but I tried that and it was a disaster. So I buy canned beans every time. And if I'm opening like 2 cans a day to be on this diet, it is a massive pain in the ass if the can has this jagged metal edge. I'm worried if like little bits of metal are getting into my food, I'm going to slice up my intestines. So I found this special can opener that actually opens the can in a way that is completely safe, no metal's getting in your food, and is 1,000 times better than any other can opener I've ever used. So if you wind up, opening a lot of cans for whatever reason, maybe you've got a cat or something, you must buy this can opener from my affiliate link.
That is something that can cause long-term serious issues. I know as stupid teenagers we don't realize that. I try so hard to get my kids to understand that. A girl simply lifted up my daughter's skirt one day and laughed about it. I think she may have done it multiple days. This was 2nd or 3rd grade. She refused to wear dresses for probably 2 years, and suddenly got sad. It took my wife sitting down with her for hours for her to suddenly out of nowhere say what happened. We moved not long after that, and she seems fine now, loves dresses again, etc. I still wonder about what I could have done better to help her get over that. Nutshots. I have been punched, poked, slapped, and smacked with a book there. I have dished out my fair share as well. It went on for a good 2 years before the trend died down. Bonus story, it need not be mentioned that I was a real asshole in this situation. A friend and I were messing around on the seesaw. He stood akimbo with his legs on either side of the seesaw connecting rod. The idiot that I was, I tried to move the seesaw quickly to hit him. He anticipated the move and stopped it with his hands. Except, unknown to us, another friend saw what was happening and he pounced on my side of the seesaw and the connecting rod hit the other friend in the nether. Luckily, he was not injured. That was probably the most brutal nutshot I was involved in. My very promiscuous friend casually told me that she and her cousin had sex when she was little. I was too young to understand what that really meant until I was older and realized that he'd probably been molesting raping her as a toddler. He was still a kid, too, maybe the same age difference as your story. She ended up ODing on fentanyl in an abandoned row house a couple years ago. We had a guy in our class who went by the nickname of Fuzzy. He was always very nervous and a bit out there. Probably had a lot of undiagnosed problems. The fella that sat behind him kept slapping him on the head while the teacher was at the blackboard. Fuzzy asked the teacher to use the bathroom and while he was on the way to the toilet and swiped the lad's pencil case. Long story short. End of the class came, the guy found his pencil case, opened it up and Fuzzy had done a big shite in it. The lad vomited. Fuzzy went to the principal's and was expelled. I just felt really bad for him. He was bullied physically and mentally all the time and just went for it. We had a math teacher who was Indian, well called Ms. K, who in hindsight sweetest woman ever. She had a thick accent, and as being middle school jerks in a backwoods area in Pennsylvania we mocked her incessantly. Well, she was out for a week and we had a substitute teacher who was young and full of optimism. One day, totally uncoordinated, a student started crying during class. The sub asked why he was crying, and the student just shook his head and didn't answer. The sub asked again, and another classmate started crying and shook his head. Now the sub was getting alarmed, and asked the class what was going on. Paraphrasing, a friend of mine answered, "We can't tell you or we'll get in trouble." Sub came over to him, knelt down, and said with total sincerity, "It's okay, you can tell me." Well, Ms. K stands on her desk and strips like a stripper and makes us tell her she's beautiful. Sub's eyes got huge, and she runs to grab the principal. Whole class starts a mix of crying to keep it going and laughing. Admittedly, it was hard to tease out which was which. Principal comes in screaming at us, police were called and had to question a few of us, and then Ms. K comes back into class the following week looking mortified. Painful to remember, she was a really kind teacher and taught me a lot. When I graduated high school I went back and apologized, and she laughed saying we were one of her best classes she ever taught behavior-wise. We had to dissect cats in my 11th grade physiology class. The first day, the teacher spent a good 20 minutes telling us how we will respect these animals who lost their lives so that we could learn, and that any student who didn't would fail the semester. She wasn't kidding. I've done something kinda similar. I often got pantsed by my straight friends, and one day I'd had enough and decided to not react the next time they did it, and stood there, jeans and boxers round my ankles, and totally deadpanned them. Note, this happened at the friend's house. Hey DFlaws, you gonna pull them up? Well, you keep pantsing the gay guy here, so I thought you were curious and wanted a good look. I was never pantsed again. We had a teacher with awful breath too. Like the first 2 rows would get bombarded. For some reason I was in the teacher's room one day and I overheard 2 other teachers gossiping about it. I chimed in that at least they didn't sit in the front row every day like I did. Never thought it could have been a medical issue. He was a good teacher, but it was quite the distraction. Had a kid in my year who'd had a surgery that left a nerve bundle in his neck exposed. If pressed it would paralyze him. From memory it was for spina bifida, and for some ungodly reason he told everyone. Certain boys took great pleasure in going downstairs behind him and pressing it, which completely paralyzed him for a few seconds and he'd fall like a brick. Usually onto whoever was in front of him. So dangerous. There were a fair few teeth knocked out because of this, his and other people's. It happened so much that in his 3rd year the school installed an elevator and you had to have a special key to use it. He got the only permanent issue key at that time. Kids are assholes. In high school, one of the students was having an affair with a vice principal. The rumor is, on the day she turned 18, he served his wife with divorce papers and they got married after she graduated. Everyone knew, it was the worst kept secret in the school. Nothing ever happened to him. I believe they both moved across the country and later got divorced. It seems she got too old for him. All of us dumb high schoolers thought it was funny. The administration knew and didn't care. Her parents knew and didn't care. And this was the early 00s, so it's not like it was really acceptable back then either. But it definitely was not okay. I forgot about another thing. Some girls went to Cancun for spring break and participated in a wet t-shirt contest. That eventually became a no t-shirt contest. Pictures spread around the school and eventually made their way into a slideshow accessed by a hidden menu into the official Senior Memories DVD a couple students made and sold at the school. The slideshow was accompanied with an original song they wrote and recorded about the above vice principal. Punishment was light, they were just excluded from the graduation ceremony. I'm not even entirely sure the girls were 18 when the pictures were taken. At best, they're distributing pictures that were not meant to be shared. At worst, they were distributing child porn.
This year, like I said, I'm having a midlife crisis. I've started a YouTube channel and I'm on a big health kick. One thing that I found is very easy to eat, very easy to prepare, is I heat up chickpeas with chicken broth and tikka masala. And there are 2 schools of thought about how you should eat beans. Some people believe you should buy the dry beans and soak them, but I tried that and it was a disaster. So I buy canned beans every time. And if I'm opening like 2 cans a day to be on this diet, it is a massive pain in the ass if the can has this jagged metal edge. I'm worried if like little bits of metal are getting into my food and going to slice up my intestines. So I found this special can opener that actually opens the can in a way that is completely safe, no metal's getting in your food, and it is 1,000 times better than any other can opener I've ever used. So if you wind up, opening a lot of cans for whatever reason, maybe you've got a cat or something, you must buy this can opener from my affiliate link.
I lost both my parents by age 16, mom at 11 from brain cancer and dad had a stroke when I was 16 that left him brain dead, and my God, I couldn't imagine being made fun of for it or having it used against me. My heart hurts for this poor girl and I hope she's somewhere doing okay today. Thankfully, I am. Diabetic classmate using his stabby blood glucose monitor on everyone's leg with the same blade for everyone. As an adult I realize why the teacher's school hit the fucking roof. The amount of people asking why it's bad the same needle is being used, entering the bloodstream, of dozens of students, one of which may could have had a dangerous and transmittable disease or virus. All needles sharps are one use only, don't share. Guys in my year went through a phase of brutally wedging each other with the aim to fully rip the underwear off. Once guys' ripped boxers got pinned on the notice board complete with skid marks and bloodstains. Seemed hilarious at the time but I die inside a little at the memory. When I was a junior in high school I broke my thumb and was given a flesh-colored plastic cast that fit over the thumb. Unfortunately, it really looked phallic. It was a joke with my friends for a while. Dick hands. Because it could be easily removed, one of my friends asked to see it and then shoved the cast down his pants and through his front zipper, and I swear to God, he flashed one of the lunch ladies with it. She literally screamed and ran back into the lunchroom, and within about 10 seconds 4 male teachers come tearing out of the lunchroom and violently grab my friend and drag him to the principal's office while screaming, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" To be honest, we all laughed in the "holy shit, did that just happen?" kind of way. About 15 minutes later I got called into the principal's office, essentially to corroborate this kid's story that it wasn't his real penis, but this stupid plastic cast I had on my thumb. My friend got expelled and they were going to suspend me until I told the principal something like, "Did I think that this kid was going to shove my cast down his pants and flash a lunch lady? No. I thought he just wanted to see the damn thing." I got the "be careful who you are friends with" speech and let go. I'm pretty sure the lunch lady quit. Just a quick, a lot of people are saying that the kid shouldn't be expelled. I'll just say this: 17-year-old boys should not be whipping their dicks out at old ladies, regardless of whether the dicks are fake or not. In the 5th grade, we had a random urinal and sink shitter. This kid would shit in the sinks and urinals in a couple of the boys' bathrooms for a few weeks. It got so bad that the staff teachers had to take kids in groups at predesignated times to go use the bathrooms, while they waited outside. The kid was in my class, and got caught, because he was in my class and decided to shit in a urinal while in this group setting. He laughed hysterically the whole time, and thought we would all think it was funny. I mean, we did think it was funny, but it was annoying we had to go in groups. He got suspended for a bit because of that, and then those incidents never happened again.
I turned 36 this year, and I decided to focus on my physical fitness, so I bought a swim club membership. The only problem was, most of the time when I go swimming, I wind up getting an ear infection. So it turns out that normal earplugs, they kind of irritate your ear canal, they don't really work, they don't keep the water out, but there is an amazing kind of earplug called Mack's Pillow Soft Silicone earplugs that, they feel great, they keep the water out 100%, they're reusable, and they don't irritate your ear canal at all, no issues. If you've ever had a severe ear infection, you don't want to experience that again. It can permanently damage your hearing if you're unlucky. So investing in these earplugs is definitely a good idea. Also, when my baby was crying later this year and I could not get to sleep, I used the same earplugs and they worked great. I was able to sleep right next to a crying baby. So be sure to click my affiliate link and purchase some of these Mack's earplugs today.